SynGAP Land. My name is Michael Grellia. This is episode 58 of SynGAP 10, your 10-minute weekly brief on everything you need to know about SynGAP 1. Last week in episode 57, I told you we had Sprint for SynGAP coming up. We had a webinar of Joe Anderson, and we needed more companies to work on SynGAP 1. Well, guess what? I said that on Monday. On Wednesday, unbeknownst to me, Praxis announced that they're going to start working on SynGAP 1. Holy smokes! Luckily, we hadn't put the newsletter out yet, so I quickly changed the newsletter. And we told the world about Praxis. Amazing. And then on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we had Sprint for SynGAP, which I'll talk about in a second. That's a big deal. This week, there's a lot going on my calendar, but we're not going to ask you guys to do anything. So I will ask you, if you haven't signed up for the eye tracking study, syngap.fund/eyetrack, EYETRACK, go to that, sign up for the study. It takes, you got to consent, 15 minutes, and then contribute to a really important study. Just go look at the flyer, syngap.fund/eyetrack. Please do take part in that study. And then week after next, I'll tell you about this next week, but Dr. David Peterson's doing a very cool, and he's a SynGAP grandfather who's a professor of law at USC, doing a very cool webinar on our rights as parents and how to constructively engage with the school system, which we all struggle with. So, last week, amazing. This week, do iTrack. Next week, Peterson. Let's talk about Praxis. I don't have time to talk about everything about Praxis. I'm going to give you the high level. The high level, the TLDR. As I said last week, we really need more companies to work on SynGAP 1. We need multiple shots on goal. Well, we have Stoke and Acadia, who's a very big deal. See my episode on that. I think it was 43. Now we have Praxis, also a very big deal. Dr. Professor Steve Petru, exceptional human being. If you go to the SynGAP Roundtable blog, at the top of that blog, we took a picture of everyone who was there. It's like a who's who of SynGAP, and they got Hugoneer, you got all these, Dr. Professor Sheffer, all these incredible people. And right in the middle of that picture is me with less hair, and next to me, Steve Petru. And he gave an incredible talk about genetic therapies for these diseases. Now, Steve is at the Florey in Australia. And as you know, the director of SynGAP Research Fund Australia is Danny Williams. You may not know that, but you should, because Danny's amazing. She's definitely one of the global leaders of SynGAP. And she has 2 children, God bless her, who are affected. And Danny has been always talking to Steve and encouraging Steve to do SynGAP. And I've been forever being like, Steve, when are you gonna do this? Let's do SynGAP. And then Steve is one of the co-founders of a company called Rajcon, which was built to focus on SCN2A. 2 exceptional parents there, Alex Nemirov and Kelly Dalby. And then Steve is also a co-founder, a scientific co-founder of Kieran Reddy and others, of Praxis. And at some point, Rajcon and Praxis kind of came together and worked together. But there's still a Rajcon website. I'm a little fuzzy on it. Doesn't matter. So Praxis is basically started by brilliant scientists, Steve Petru, powerful investors, Kieran Reddy, and dedicated parents, Alex and Kelly. Pretty solid team, frankly. Pretty solid team. There's a press release in December 21, which I'll share. I got to write that down so I do it. About in December 21, so just a few months ago, where Steve stepped down as the director of this institute as the Florey and became full-time with Praxis. So that was big news, because what that meant really was that all the stuff that Steve was working on in his lab, because I was calling him, I'm like, Steve, what are you working on? Maybe you should spin it out. Let's spin it out. Nothing. But that press release in December told me that Steve was probably sending everything over to Praxis. Great. As long as it's in a company and somebody can get it done, I'm happy. So what we saw now, 4 months later in April 2022, is that Praxis has announced they're working on SynGAP 1. And what does that mean? Well, with ASOs, what you do is you figure out what you're going after, and you make a lot of different ones. And you kind of try them all, and you see what happens. And what that means is you throw them into cell lines and mice. And then the one that works the best, you say, maybe this could be a drug, and you advance it. So what they've said is that in 2023, they expect to have a candidate for SynGAP 1. And what that means to me, I'm just guessing, no one's told me anything, is that they've got some promising initial data, and they're refining it, and they're going from a list of possible ASOs to 1 or 2, probably just 1, that they will select and announce next year. That is huge news. So now we have a couple companies working on ASOs. We have Stoke with the Tango technology. We have Praxis with the Petru technology. We are very, very blessed to have these giants. And we work closely with Two important things. We're friends with Chris Pierce, who does SCN2A in Asia Pacific. she's very close to Steve and the folks over there, and she has nothing but nice things to say about this company. So that means a lot to me. But I'll tell you something else. Now, if you're really paying attention, you've heard me say this before. Praxis, when they decided to get into SCN2A, needed a natural history study. Have you heard this one before? And guess what they did? Praxis has a lot of money. Like, go back and look at Crunchbase and see all the money they've raised. They IPO'd in 2020, I think it was. Let me look that up. And then post-IPO, they IPO'd in 2020, $126 million IPO. They raised another $91 million in 2021. Like, these guys have some cash. And for SCN2A, they needed a natural history study. So what did they do? I mean, they could have done anything. Money's not an object. You know what they did? They launched a citizen profile for SCN2A. Guess what they're going to want to do for SynGAP 1? They're going to want citizen data. Guess what? We already have citizen data. There's over 170 patients in the U.S. signed up for citizen. If you're not one of them, and you want Praxis to know about your kid and their data, it doesn't get more real than this, people. Sign up now. Takes a few months to collect all those medical records, have the robots read them, standardize them, normalize them, and push them out. And I've already, and if based on what I've seen from the SCN2A community, Praxis is going to want to ask questions. Those questions are going to go to people who are in citizen. If you want your child's data to inform the development of the clinical trials that will help your child get a therapy, sign up for Citizen. Sorry to interrupt myself, but I remain mind blown. I'm grateful that we have the largest citizen cohort on the planet in rare. And I love the fact that we have 170 families signed up. But it kills me that number is not bigger. It's right here, folks. It's free. It's set up. You have no idea how many people want to have a citizen natural history study. Sign up now. syngap.fund/citizen. 2 eyes. Don't ask why. I have no idea why they did 2 eyes. Anyway, Praxis. It's all good news. I'll do a longer podcast later. If you want Praxis to know who you are, sign up for Citizen. Guess what Praxis uses? Citizen. All right, I'll stop. Sprint for SynGAP. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Just happened. What do we do? So far, we've raised $115,000. That's amazing. That's a whole grant right there. 2/3 of that, just like last year, round numbers, is the Tavilla family in Boston. I want to publicly appreciate the incredible leadership of the Tavillas. That family just doesn't stop. Wow. They are a huge supporter of SRF and amazing. Thank you, the Tavillas. But so we've raised $115,000. You can always raise more if you want to. Sprint for SynGAP. syngap.fund/sprint 2022. Still time to donate. But I really want to talk about the community aspect of this, right? Because SRF did not coordinate any meeting. We just said, hey, we're doing this thing. You guys should do things in your community. So let's talk about what happened in people's communities. So Summer up in Montana had to get together. And by the way, I put out a tweet and there's a thread. There's you can do threads on Twitter and you can chain things together. So everything I'm saying is in this thread. You can click through. So Summer had to get together in Montana. Peter in North Texas had a foam party. I didn't even know that was a thing. But apparently you can pay someone a couple $100. They'll drive to your house and they'll pump a bunch of foam into your front yard. And from the pictures, this was a tremendous success and the SynGAPians loved it. So next time you're having a party for SynGAPian, get a foam truck. Good job, Peter. That was North Texas. In Boston, as mentioned, the Tavillas and the SynGAP sisters and the Beswicks and Hope for Hadley got together and had an epic event. I'll talk more about that in a second. Callie in North Carolina, Melissa in Ontario, Canada, Joe in Irvine, Heather in Tennessee, Vicky in Florida. I'm going to come back to that too. Peggy and Virginia in Indiana, and even Jen in Ireland. And I should say, Vicky's never done. She's a force of nature. We're lucky to have her. Vicky had a great event on Friday. You'll know you're looking at those pictures because there's on Sunday because there's a lot of purple. And she gave everyone a t-shirt because that's just Vicky's very generous soul. And yesterday, Saturday, Vicky had an event in Colombia. Two events. Amazing. Thank you, Vicky, for your leadership. All of this is building community, and that's what I want to end on here. All of this is building community. There was something that really struck me in the video from Boston. And right when you watch that video, you'll see these two girls walking. And one of them is a sibling of a SynGAPian, and one of them is a SynGAPian. And it just made me happy. Because when you do these events and when you tell your friends about SynGAP and you ask them to engage and come to the park and play and make a donation and have a cookie, the Tavillas, of course, make cookies because they're Tavillas. It's amazing. And when you do that, it's great. It's great. You're raising awareness. You're telling people about SynGAP. And you're strengthening your community around your family and around your SynGAPian and their siblings. Our SynGAPians, I'll make two bets right now. Our SynGAPians are going to live longer than we are. And even after Stokes or Praxis's or somebody else's or the small molecules we're working on or the AAVs that haven't been invented yet, even after our SynGAPians are treated with these things, they will still be complicated and they will not be entirely neurotypical. And the SynGAPians that are lucky enough to have siblings, those siblings are hopefully going to be involved in their care. And that's not going to be easy. I think Tony's my SynGAPian, John is my neurotypical, I call him my wild type. I think about what that means for John's life all the time, and it is what it is. Good news, bad news, John. Got it, here you go. And what I saw in that picture was a SynGAPian sibling walking with a SynGAPian who wasn't hers. But that sibling had the understanding and the wisdom and the care and the love and offered that so selflessly to another SynGAPian. And what I knew is that there were 80 people in that park seeing that. And that when that little girl grows up, that community will be around her and people will know her and love her and support her as she takes care of her sister. I'm sorry about my cuckoo clock just then. But the point is made, right? Don't get isolated with this disease and don't bury the word SynGAP. Put it out there. Use Sprint for SynGAP 2023. Because guess what? End of April next year, we're going to do it again. Not too late to start planning. Use that as a chance to summon your community. Let them know what's going on and encourage them to support your family, your generation and the next one, so that they can love and support them as through their whole lives. You got to play the long game here, guys. Yes, we need to raise money right now. We have some science we can fund to improve our kids' lives. And you need to play the long game for your kids and build the community around them. If there's SynGAPians near you, like we saw in Boston, get those families together. And even if there's not SynGAPians near you, make sure your family knows make sure your community knows what's going on and they know you want their support. It's the right thing to do. It's a smart thing to do. So thank you to everyone who's done it. The second annual Sprint for SynGAP has been a huge success. Thank you to Peter and Caitlin and Lauren and everybody who helped make it happen. And let's get working on Sprint for SynGAP 2023. It's going to be amazing. Thank you all.